AITA for overruling my wife on a matter concerning our daughter. I, 42M, and my wife, 38F, have a daughter, 14, who is friends with the son, 13, of an acquaintance of mine. Because my daughter and her friend are of different genders, my wife insists on always supervising their playdates. Our daughter can't go to his house, he has to come here. She always watches the kids when they're together and doesn't let our daughter close the door when they're in her room. TBH, I always thought my wife was being fairly reasonable until this incident. Kids are kids, and they're nearing the complicated age. So I always backed my wife up, even when my daughter begged to be allowed to her friend's house. Recently, my wife was watching the kids while I was at work and realized she needed some things from the store. She made the children go with her so they wouldn't be alone. Apparently, I'm obviously getting all of this info secondhand. The kids wandered off while she was shopping. While they were alone, an employee approached my daughter's friend and accused him of stealing something. My daughter's friend turned out his jacket pockets and there was nothing in there but his phone and keys. The employee demanded my daughter's friend remove his jacket because she thought something was hidden under the jacket. My daughter's friend refused and said he didn't steal anything. My daughter called for my wife and she showed up pretty quickly. My wife sided with the employee and asked my daughter's friend to remove the jacket. When he did, the employee saw the necklace he was wearing and demanded he takes it off so she could inspect it to see if it was merchandise from the store. I've seen him wearing this necklace before, for the record. At this point, he ran out of the store into the cold, not wearing a jacket, and called his grandfather to come to pick him up. I was at work when my acquaintance called me, furious. He said his son was half frozen when his dad got to him, which I believe because it's very cold here right now, and that my wife profiled his son. He told me that his son won't be going over to my house ever again. Edit. My daughter wants me to add this. She, unlike me, know how to use Reddit properly and edit posts. Her friend is mixed race. His father was Indian, like India, not Native American. A lot of people asked and I didn't know, so hopefully they see this. Edit 2. My wife texted me that there was an emergency and I needed to call her, so I stepped out of the theater and did so. Guess what? No emergency. No surprise either. She told me I had no right to separate her from her daughter on Christmas. I said it was her choice and confronted her about what my daughter said at breakfast, especially about the food thing. She started crying and said I had no idea what that boy put her through. I hung up. Fuck this. It's Christmas. I'm watching Home Alone with my daughter. Edit 3. My daughter said this comment needs to be in the post itself. Yeah, the paying attention to the movie didn't last. She's become really intrigued by all these comments and has been on my phone for the last 20 minutes. I'm pasting it in. She showed me how. So my daughter and I are at the movies right now. After breakfast she said she didn't want to go home, so we're going to go to the Christmas movie marathon at the local theater. She went to get snacks. I have her $30, so she should come back with a small tub of popcorn. Damn these concession prices, so I'm going to tell you guys some of what happened at breakfast. It was a lot, so apologies if some stuff seems rushed over. Ask for clarification if you like. My wife is blowing up my phone right now, but I don't want to talk to her. This wasn't the first time something like this happened, just the first time it happened in public. Here's some of the things my daughter told me my wife did that they kept quiet about for fear of not being allowed to hang out anymore. I know. I'm a pose. I understand that now. I hate myself. My wife screamed at this kid for giving my daughter a gymnastics lesson. He's on a gymnastics team. They weren't doing anything dangerous. She made them stop and called him a pervert. I know. I know. She screamed at them for playing with makeup. It belonged to my daughter and was a gift from my sister. I don't think it was expensive stuff. Even if it was though, who cares? She made him wash his face and go home. He told his grandfather he had a stomachache that day apparently. She told him he eats too much food at our house. This is the worst one for me. I'm mad when she told me that. So, yeah. Learned some stuff about my wife. It's clear to me now that I haven't been an active member of my marriage in a long time. This was hard to learn. The hardest part was knowing that my daughter didn't trust me with any of this because she assumed I would side with her mom. I let my daughter read this thread. She wanted to know what made me change my perspective, so I told her. She wanted to read the comments people made. I was hesitant because of the foul language, but she's 14. She's not a baby, and I know she hears just as bad at school. We got to talking about the lesbian comments. She asked me what I would think of that. I told her I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. She said she might be bi but isn't sure. I cried a little bit because I made her feel like she couldn't tell me that, and honestly, I'm even more ashamed of that than all the stuff with my wife, as twisted as that is. My wife and daughter haven't been getting along for a while. A lot of it centers around this friend, but there's more to it. My wife and daughter view the world in fundamentally different ways. Edit 4. I asked my daughter to stop reading the stuff on this post. Obviously now that she's seen it, she can just go on Reddit on her own phone and find it again, but trust has to start somewhere, right? We gave up on the Christmas marathon. We're both too upset to sit still and watch a movie. I took her to my sister's and then went home to talk to my wife. I needed to get some things straightened out with her before I took my daughter home. It didn't go well. My wife apologized when I got home. She was crying. She said the holidays were so stressful and that she had a bit of a breakdown. She begged me to go get our daughter and bring her home. I said I would once we talked. She kept sobbing, so I went and got her some water. I said we could talk or I could leave, but I wasn't going to get our daughter until we talked. Eventually she stopped crying and talked to me. She fessed up to the gymnastics incident and said my daughter's friend touched her inner thigh. My daughter never mentioned this part. I asked my wife why she never told me this, but she didn't give me a straight answer. The makeup incident, she said, was because she wanted our daughter to wear that makeup to a certain event and was mad she wasted it. Also that sharing makeup is like sharing soap and unsanitary. I didn't know this. Again, I don't feel this justifies her reaction. Also, my wife didn't buy the makeup, so I don't think she has a right to get mad about the waste. The food thing she said was misconstrued. She said he took a larger than necessary portion and didn't eat all of it. She told him to take a smaller initial portion next time. We had the same problem with our son when he was a teenager, so I believe this, and I'm glad she wasn't trying to keep the poor kid from eating. I told her I want to go to family therapy and she agreed. I'm sitting in the living room now calming down before I go back to my sister's to get my daughter. That was extremely emotionally draining. What a way to spend Christmas morning. Edit 5. My daughter refused to go home. I felt like forcing her would destroy our relationship for good, so we've just kind of been hanging out at my sister's. My sister left to get ready for her holiday plans, so we've just been talking. The reason I'm updating is because what she said freaked me out, so I need some advice before I say the wrong thing and alienate her for good. Because this is all uncharted for me. My wife has been calling constantly, but I've been ignoring her. I know it's wrong, but she'll react even worse than me, so I just can't talk to her right now. I asked my daughter if she has feelings for her friend. She said she didn't know. She told me that their friendship is more important than that. I legitimately do not understand what this means, so I just nodded. She said he's the only one who understands her. She also said that she loves learning gymnastics from him, that it makes her feel good, like her body is something beautiful instead of just a burden. I have no idea how to interpret that. She also said that, in addition to the makeup, I don't know how they manage this without my wife noticing, because she would have lost it, wear each other's clothes. She said she likes wearing boy clothes and likes seeing him in her dresses and skirts. Again, I just nodded and thanked her for telling me. I don't know what to say. Help.